Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell, and in today's video, we're going to dive back into the world of corporate culture and the strategies that businesses can implement to try and develop their corporate culture. So, if you think back, it was way back in Unit 3, Outcome 1, that we first touched on this concept of corporate culture, and we looked at both the official and the real corporate culture. So, just to refresh your memory, corporate culture is the shared values and beliefs of the people within the business, and it can really drive the way in which people within the business interact and work. And so imagine a business where everyone believes in a common cause and has the same values. It can be a really incredible way to achieve objectives, can be quite powerful. But a thriving culture doesn't simply happen by accident. It often needs to be intentionally designed and developed, and managers can implement a range of strategies to develop their desired corporate culture, which we're going to get into. Now, any proposed change within the business should be taking the corporate culture into consideration because it's the culture that can really support those changes. And if the culture is closed and quite negative, it can cause significant amount of resistance, particularly from employees, which can make implementing a change quite difficult. However, if it's a more open and positive culture, it's more likely to support the changes coming into the business, particularly if the leaders of the change are able to demonstrate a real need for that change. And change is more likely to be sustained over the long term if there is a culture that values adaptability and continuous improvement. Now, if you recall from our earlier video back in Unit 3, Outcome 1, we spoke about the official corporate culture being the dream or the ideal culture that the business wants to have, while the real corporate culture is what actually exists. And bridging the gap between those two requires well thought out strategies by the managers. And some of these strategies for a business to develop their corporate culture include things like establishing core values. So, making it clear what the business stands for and make sure that everyone knows what they are, especially the employees. So, when we talk about communication or communicating these values to stakeholders, particularly employees, it's not simply just notifying them what they are, but it should be part of the regular communication so that they are being reinforced often. Another strategy is a change in management style. So, if needed, a switch to a more open style like consultative, participative, or even laissez faire to reflect the values of the business. For example, if the business wants to build a culture based on collaboration and teamwork, then they might look to implement a participative or laissez faire management style, which would help develop that type of culture. Employee training, so aligning training programs with the desired values of the business, is another strategy that can be used to develop the corporate culture. For example, if a business values innovation or customer service, collaboration, and those types of values, then the employees and the managers, for that fact, could be provided training in those areas so that they have the skills to actually display those values. And when developing the corporate culture, it's important that the leaders act as role models and lead by example. So, if employees are to follow and display the desired behaviors, it's important that the leaders are actually showing the way. It's the idea that actions speak louder than the corporate memo. So, sending out an email to staff about the expectations is not enough if the leaders aren't following those expectations. So, it's important that they're leading by example. Now, because corporate culture is about the shared values and beliefs of those in the business, it can also be beneficial that the employees have those values. And recruiting employees that have those values can go a long way to developing the desired culture. And many businesses will not only look for talented employees, but those that are a really good cultural fit for the business. And it will alter or often alter their selection process to reflect that. Positive reinforcement through rewards and recognition is another strategy that can help develop the corporate culture. So many businesses will implement a recognition and rewards program to help develop their desired culture. And the criteria of those types of rewards should reflect the elements of the desired culture. Implementing policies to support the culture and which provide guidance on the desired values and behaviours. Those policies of the business should reinforce those expectations rather than hinder or prevent them from developing the culture that the business is actually desiring. And finally, we've got a structure, structuring the workplace in a manner that allows the desired values to actually shine is another way to develop the corporate culture. For example, if a business is looking to develop a culture based on teamwork and collaboration, well, they should be structuring their workplace to be more open plan and structure their employees into teams, for example. So, to bring this all to life, let's look at REA Group, which is a digital advertising company that operates Australia's leading property website, realestate.com.au, as well as real estate websites throughout Europe. Now, they're well known for their incredibly positive corporate culture, and they didn't just hope for this culture, they actually engineered it. So, they began by setting out a set of core values that they live by. And as you can see here, there are six core values which are do it as a team, do it with heart, keep it real, inspire it, own it, and reimagine it. And there's more meaning to these than just these words. So, for every team member that comes through the business, they learn about these six core values, not just as words, but what they actually mean in that business. And so these core values are the cornerstone of what they live by and how they operate. And so to help develop this culture, they hire employees who share those values. They have a really rigorous interview process and selection process, which includes behavioral assessment to try and determine if the candidate is a good cultural fit. They develop a collaborative and supportive work environment, which is supported by a really flat organizational structure. They also invest heavily in their training and development. So they want to be at the cutting edge of technology in their website and their apps that they produce. So they ensure that the employees are continually developing their skills and knowledge. And they also celebrate success as a team. So these are just some of the ways or some of the strategies that they implement to help develop their desired culture. So, just to recap, corporate culture is the shared values and beliefs of the people within the business. And corporate culture is not just this fluffy concept, it's a really real strategic asset for businesses. And there's multiple ways of developing that asset or developing that culture, from clearly communicating the core values and changing the management style and everything in between that we went through today. So that brings us to the end of this video. We're going to continue looking at change or implementing change in the next video. Look forward to seeing you then. Just remember, until then, for questions, activities, and help in your VCE journey, then come on over to teachingbubble.com.